Just like Legal Mindset, I too woke up today in order to see his post. Apparently, Johnny Somali ran around the streets of South Korea in his boxers, repeatedly taunting cops until he was finally arrested, and then he was released. Interesting night. Every lawyer, as I mentioned before, would tell you that if you have committed a crime, do not commit another crime. In fact, this is a tactic used by law enforcement that they will let you go during the investigation, specifically so that you commit more crime and so that they can add more charges against you. And I saw a viral conversation where Mr. Somali had with the cops. I'm not sure if it's tied to this incident or another. But basically, the cops were like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, just because we filed and we started an investigation, that doesn't mean it will come to anything. Don't worry about it. Relax. But what if something happens? Do you think, like, those cops will be held responsible for lying to you? Like, of course not. You're not supposed to commit crimes. And so, a lot of people are wondering, like, what's going on in his head? Like, at first people were laughing, and they were like, oh, finally, he's having his comeuppance. But as it keeps escalating, more and more people are wondering, like, why is he doing this? And I believe I can explain. I think it has two reasons. Like, one of them is the real-life streamer component. And the other reason is the mindset and the circle of friends that he surrounds himself with. So let's first tackle the real-life streamer component. I want you guys to understand that almost all online e-celebs, as they call them, don't expect that they will become online e-celebs. Like, most of us are just random people with various hardships and troubles in our real life. A lot of them come from impoverished families, poor backgrounds. And one day you just decide to stream. And as you're streaming, you realize that you're actually gaining a following. And so you keep streaming, and the following just grows more and more. And at some point, you're even making money off streaming. And you realize you're making more and more cash to the point where streaming itself is like a job, like a career, and you can support yourself just by streaming. Now, this isn't the problem if your streams are wholesome. If you're making cooking videos, if you're making traveling guides, like, that's fine. But if you're streaming by being a cheeky little shit, and by making, like, small, rebellious behaviors, you're getting cash from people, then you'll realize that the incentive is to up your ante. Like, if you keep wanting to get cash, if you keep wanting to have viewers, you just have to constantly up your ante. And eventually, you're going to brush up with the law, which is something that many real-life streamers have ended up getting themselves into. Johnny Somali being the most notorious and probably the first one that came into the public image, but there were more like him. For instance, Mizu in the UK. Now, the issue with this is that it is a societal nuisance. While it is funny for some to sit at home and watch how these streamers are getting into various antics and troubles, other people don't like it if a brick comes through their window. If someone picks up their dog and runs away with it, pretending that they're going to mug the person. Individuals don't like going in public and having, like, all of this emotional distress inflicted upon them in order for someone to get super chats and to get likes. And so society as a whole, like, they're watching this, the case of Mizu that stole someone's dog. Even if that person brought it back, they were thinking, like, look at the emotional distress he made that lady suffer. Imagine if it was my grandma. Imagine if it was my mom or my daughter. Like, why are we allowing this type of behavior? Because we know he is doing it just to get super chats. And so society is out for blood. And this is what Johnny Somali doesn't seem to understand, is that people want him to become an example of. And when we say people, this includes the authorities. Like the authorities, if they arrest him, they will get a standing ovation. No one is going, like, no one from the system is going to say, wait, you're punishing too severely. No. Like, I have seen a live stream with Johnny Somali, which led me to the point number 2 of why he is doing this, and it's the mindset, right? So, like, he said that he believes that nothing will happen to him, that he won't serve a single day in jail time, because the crimes he has done aren't very serious. And, if you look at them without context, yeah, they're not very serious. I mean, okay, what did he do? He spilled some water on a table in a restaurant. He played some edgy music with the purpose of being a cheeky little shit. Like, he's not an actual North Korean sympathizer, but he did that in order to upset people, right? Like, he did socially unacceptable acts, but like, no one got punched, no one got hurt, right? Like, no property was damaged. And this is why he convinced himself that these actions aren't worthy of punishment. When the reality is that, well, besides the fact that people want him to be an example of, the nation does treat these crimes very seriously. Like, he's in a different culture. He's not in the United States of America where, yeah, like going into a store and dropping some water on a table, like, you may get a fine. Like, you're not going to get imprisonment. But like, South Korea operates based on other rules, based on other cultural values of harmony and collectivism. And so when you do that, in your mind, you may think it's not a big deal, but over there it is. And so the reason he believes that he will not go to prison is because he surrounded himself with like-minded individuals that agree with him. And this, to me, is very similar to the sovereign citizen type of person. So for those of you who don't know, there are specific individuals in the United States who believe in a weird ideology called sovereign citizens. And sovereign citizen teaches you that if you know certain esoterical knowledge about how the American law works, that if you receive your taxes and you file it with return to sender or some bullshit, that you don't have to pay taxes. If a police officer arrests you, you just say you're a sovereign citizen, and then you ask the police officer, are you detaining me? And then the police officer can't do anything against you, right? Like, they convince themselves that they can magically jutsu the law so that they don't have to abide by what everyone else does, right? So, like, other people pay taxes because they're stupid enough and they just don't know that you can magic your way into not paying them. And obviously, like, these people get into problems with the law. Obviously, they get harsh sentences. And you have to wonder, like, how does it come to this? And the reason is that they surround themselves with individuals that constantly fuel their delusions, that agree with them, to the point where they themselves believe this to be the case. So I do think that with Johny Somali, he too believes, unironically, that he's not going to go to jail because he surrounds himself with individuals that go like, well, you know, like, you didn't do that much. You just spilled a little bit of water in a store. Like, that's not a big deal. They're going to give you a fine and then they're going to let you go. Oh, like, you just did some obscene gestures with a statue. Like, come on, it's not a real woman, right? Like, you didn't do anything dangerous. Like, they're just going to give you a fine. You're an American citizen. You're not going to see a single day in jail. This is what the people around him must constantly tell and reinforce to him, to the point where he believes it, right? Because usually when people are facing a predicament, like the prospect of going to jail, they like to cling on to hope. And so if you have like 10 people telling you, yeah, you're going to rot in jail, you're not going to listen to those people. But the person that tells you, oh, there's a sliver of chance, like, look, this may happen or that may happen, they're more likely to listen to that person, right? And so this is what I think is going on. And him going out naked in order to up the ante is, again, like part of the streamer mindset. He's basically realizing probably that he's getting less donations, he's getting less views. And so now he has to up it up. Like, he has to do something even more outrageous in order to get those views. It seems that the streaming service that he had, I've never heard about it, Party, also suspended him. So now he is in legal trouble. He may be in financial trouble. And, you know, it is what it is. A lot of people are just watching in dismay now, and they're wondering, like, how can a person just make bad decisions after bad decisions after bad decisions? And at this point, I don't think he can get out of it. You know, like if you were to wake up tomorrow and you're Johny Somali, right? Like it's just like a freak magical event. You're waking up, you're Johny Somali. You didn't do anything that he did, but like all of his baggage will be applied to you. I don't think there's like any sensible decisions you can make at this point that will get you out of trouble. And so he finds himself in a very precarious position. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.